The laughter cut deeper than the accusation, sharper than the threat of handcuffs. It echoed across the open-plan office of Pinnacle Dynamics in Charlotte, North Carolina, 2025, where I, Nathan Reed, 36, stood frozen, a termination notice slapped onto my desk. My boss, Greg Harmon, 50, stood at the center of the room, his voice booming like a judge delivering a verdict. "Stealing company funds, Nathan? You're done." Beside him, Ethan Caldwell, the CEO's 28-year-old son, leaned against a desk, arms crossed, his smirk dripping with the confidence of someone who'd already scripted my downfall. "Dad called the cops," Ethan added, like it was a trophy. My coworker's eyes darted my way, hungry for the spectacle of my ruin. I stayed calm, my face a mask. "Sign it," Greg pressed, "or we add criminal charges." I said nothing, my silence a shield. "What, no begging?" Greg taunted. "Pathetic accountant. Cat got your tongue?" They thought I was cornered. They had no idea I'd been playing a longer game. I'd sensed the setup months ago. As Pinnacle's senior accountant, I'd noticed discrepancies. Petty cash vanishing, expense accounts bloated with vague consulting fees. Ethan was sloppy, his lavish lunches and unverified invoices a trail of crumbs. Greg, his enabler, signed off without question. Late-night emails from offshore accounts, invoices altered under my login without my consent, I'd intercepted them, saving originals on a hidden drive. I knew they'd pin it on me, the quiet number cruncher who never rocked the boat. For 6 months, I'd built my arsenal. Duplicate ledgers, screenshots, metadata tying their hands to the crime. They thought they'd framed me for a $50,000 theft. I had evidence of their $2 million embezzlement. I packed my box deliberately, letting them savor their victory. Ethan's smirk followed me to the elevator, Greg's laughter ringing in my ears. But I wasn't defeated. I was slipping into their blind spots, my blueprint already drawn. That night, in my apartment, I spread out my evidence across the dining table. Backup drives hummed, revealing a web of shell companies linked to an address registered to Ethan's holding firm. Greg's name appeared on payment authorizations, kickbacks disguised as vendor contracts. Timestamps showed Ethan accessing accounts from his office after hours. By dawn, I'd mapped their scheme. Every lie a thread I'd pull to unravel them. I didn't rush to the police. Patience is a blade, deadly when honed. I needed the perfect stage. 3 days later, Pinnacle's quarterly board meeting loomed, a room of suits oblivious to the rot within. I'd learned my ID badge still worked. Their arrogance hadn't bothered to deactivate it. I walked into the boardroom unannounced, a flash drive in my pocket, my presence a ghost they hadn't expected. The CEO, Richard Caldwell, 60, blinked in confusion. Ethan stiffened, his smirk faltering. Greg's jaw tightened. "Nathan?" Richard said. I set the drive on the table. "Before you proceed, you need to see this." I plugged it in, and the projector flared to life. Account statements flickered, bank transfers to offshore accounts, timestamps from Ethan's office, emails between him and Greg splitting percentages. The room went silent, save for the soft click of pages changing. "This is fabricated," Ethan blurted, his voice cracking. I didn't flinch, my eyes on Richard. "Metadata's intact. Cross-check the server logs." I slid a folder across the table, printed records, sealed by an external auditor I'd hired. 2 days prior. "I knew you'd try to frame me," I said, "so I got my own audit." Richard's face hardened as he read, his hands trembling. He turned to Ethan. "You used my company for this?" Ethan pointed at me, desperate. "He's framing me." Greg stammered. "Richard, he's—" The CEO raised a hand, silencing them. The board members whispered, one dialing security. I spoke softly to Greg, my voice ice. "You wanted me to beg. Instead, you'll explain this to the police." 2 security officers entered. Not for me, I said, nodding at Ethan and Greg. For them. I pocketed the drive and walked out, the room's silence louder than their laughter had been. That evening, news broke. CEO's son, senior manager under investigation for embezzlement. My phone buzzed with texts from coworkers, shock, apologies, awe. I didn't reply. I'd withdrawn my loyalty from Pinnacle months ago, my exit planned in shadows. The next day, Richard called, voice strained. "Nathan, we need you back. Consultant, full-time, your terms." I declined. "You burned that bridge," I said. Instead, I took a role at a rival firm, my evidence ensuring a corner office and a team to lead. Pinnacle's stock plummeted, clients fled, and Ethan faced charges, his trust fund frozen. Greg resigned, his reputation ash. I wasn't innocent. I'd known their game too long before acting, waiting for the perfect moment. But justice isn't always swift, it's precise. They tried to strip my name, I stripped their legacy. Months later at my new firm, a coworker asked why I stayed so calm. I smiled. Numbers don't lie. People do. I just made sure the math added up. I sleep fine now. The laughter that once mocked me replaced by the quiet of a life rebuilt on my terms. Their downfall wasn't revenge. It was consequence, delivered with the cold precision of a ledger balanced.